Beatles. And so as a 9-year-old seeing this spectacle, it made one impression on me.
Yeah.
And then you know, for some, my calling, I say it's a calling. Uh, from early on, I wanted to be a songwriter. And this was the place where I saw I could make my entry into the music business.
Absolutely. And you had your first sort of paid gig around the age of 12, right?
I did, yeah, which was kind of an odd thing.
Mm.
My earliest musical training came from the time I was 4 years old. It started. My Italian grandfather went back to Italy to visit family, came back to America, back to Brooklyn, and handed me an accordion. And so I was kind of compelled to learn how to play the accordion. And so this gave me an early understanding of melody and chord structure.
Yeah.
And also, the accordion is interesting because, on one hand, you're playing the treble clef, and on the left hand, you're playing the bass clef. So it gave me an early understanding of music and how it all went together. And then, but on the other side of that, my inclination was for English literature. I began writing poetry when I was very young. And so it all just came together when, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones hit,
Yeah.
it all kind of made sense.
Absolutely. And you co-wrote the song Ball of Fire when you were just 20 years old, which was a hit. So how did that influence your confidence as a songwriter moving forward?
Well, it's interesting because, I've never really been confident as a songwriter, I would
Mm.
say. Uh, but my story of Ball of Fire, I usually tell it this way. They say, Bruce, so Ball of Fire, like, what did you contribute to that song? And I
Mm.
typically say, I came up with the word of.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, I think that Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells, who had the hit with that song and who was the main writer of that song, at that point in my life, really was taking me under his wing. He was the first person to take me into a recording studio to see
Yeah.
how a record was made.